Welcome back to the podcast. Another great guest, Alexandra Bauer, Moms for Liberty, part of the Patriot movement. She and her family and friends in the Socialist Republic of New Jersey have been doing so much for this country. Well, you live in a little pocket that's pretty nice, right? A little pocket of New Jersey. There's patriots there.
I do. Yeah, Bergen
Okay.
County is very nice. For the most part, we have some loud liberals, but for the most part, it's very nice.
Cool. Well, welcome to the show. As I was saying, and my listeners know this from last night, I think the communist Chinese poisoned me. And that's why I'm all like sick and everything. It just came out of nowhere. But I also notice, and you should never talk about this, but as I get older, everything's a bigger pain in the butt. So for all I know, it's a cold.
I think you're the only old person here, so I can't help you out with that one, but
God, you're so from New Jersey.
I'm just
See,
kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
know, but I should have never brought that up because I should know better. I should have. I'll tell you that I met Alexandra and her husband at a gala last week. A wonderful gala in New York. A lot of older folks made of money. I mean, you could smell the money there. And they were donating it, and it was wonderful. It was really a nice thing. But I have to say, I felt kind of young there.
I definitely felt young. I mean,
I was gonna say.
definitely a different feeling from last year. I will say that.
Yep.
It was funny. I kind of
Oh, you
dressed a
went to
little
the
bit.
one last year?
No, Scott showed me the pictures from last year, and they had
Oh,
and he did that really fun video. My friend
that's
Scott
right.
Lebedo, yes, he had that fun video, and he showed me the pictures, and so I was like, "Oh, this looks like a lot of fun." He invited us. I said, "Sure, we'll go with you," and but then I sort of saw who was going. And I actually even just changed my dress. I was like, I think I need to be a little bit more conservative. This looks like an older crowd.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, it was definitely we were the youngest ones there.
Anyway, just to bring up Scott very quickly for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about Scott Lebedo because I've been a fan of Scott's for years, and he's become a very outspoken person on the internet.
He is. He's a very good friend of ours, a newer friend of ours. Actually, we only met him. I want to say it was maybe 2.5 years ago,
Hmm.
something like that. Maybe a tad longer. But you just meet your people, and when you do get to a certain age, I think you have a smaller group of friends. You protect them. They're people that you love and trust, and we're not really looking for new ones. But we met. Yes, well, we'll take you. We like you too. You're our new friend too.
No, I mean,
But you know what I mean.
if people are listening, it just sounded weird. That's all. By the way, we're not
Well,
looking for friends, but we are
here,
looking. Like, if you
here's
want to send
here's the
money,
you have to understand. Here's the thing you have to understand. In the world that we're in,
yes,
people will say anything they want to get what they want. And so you have
exactly.
to, you really have to sort of protect yourself and really get to know people before you become friends with them. So we're just a little bit protective.
And let's
But anyway,
explain. Let me
yeah.
explain. Let's explain that to the audience very quickly because
Okay.
my audience, like you guys and me, we're very down to earth. This in the world of politics, most people in politics are lying prostitutes, and that's me saying that. And you have to say that the majority are. Most people in media are liars. So once you understand that media and politics, you wouldn't normally hang out with most of those people. You'd punch a lot of them in the face. Once you get that in your head, then you're like, oh, now I understand. So you go through that process very quickly. Like I've been on the air for 45 years and I have about four close friends in radio.
It's very true. I mean, I've only
Yeah.
been doing this for almost 5 years, and I had to very quickly learn that not everybody is nice, even if they're smiling at you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are talking about you, and they're just there to get with what they want, and that's really sad because I think genuinely, I want to see the best in everybody. But unfortunately, now you have to be a little bit more guarded. So we've just learned our lesson. But I knew about Scott. I had been following Scott for a long time, and we actually met at Steve Bannon's after party at CPAC, and we just clicked. Like it was just one of those things where we clicked and we just became sort of besties, and we helped each other out. I brought him to my events. He brought me to his events. We saw that we had similar interests. We were both activists. We both want to save our country. We both
Hmm.
want to keep kids safe. And so we were like, all right, we're each other's people here. So he's wonderful. He, has traveled all over, painting the most beautiful American flags all over the country. And he does so much for the veterans and law enforcement and seniors and kids and environment. I
Yeah.
mean, you name it. He actually has this wonderful documentary out. And I had thought I knew so much about him until I sat down at his movie premiere and really got to see a little bit more, I should say, not probably all of him, but like a lot more of him. And I
Hmm.
was like, wow, like you are somebody. You are so accomplished. And he's so selfless. He doesn't
Yeah.
ask
And
for anything.
it's hard, I met him for the first time last week, and it's still surreal to me because if you've noticed, the people that are getting the higher profile and, for lack of a better term, fans or whatever, are no longer the traditional media. They're no longer that legacy media. They're people like Scott. People like, oh,
Right.
that guy's like me. He talks like me, sounds like me, and I love what he draws. And pretty soon, and that's the power of the internet. And he's got so much talent. I can't even. I mean, this guy can just. He could like walk 3 blocks and start a business in that time. You
You
know?
can't, well, first of all, you can't walk 3 blocks with him. You won't get very far. I tell you, we were just at San Gennaro together. He did a beautiful painting for them. And we went down to have dinner as a group afterwards. And you literally every 5 seconds get stopped because, again, he resonates with the people. He's one of the people. And everybody knows he's real. Everybody knows this isn't BS. They're like, no, he really just got arrested for standing up for what's right. He doesn't care
Yeah.
about that. He does what's right. And so, that really, everybody, you had to see, oh my gosh, you would have thought like this huge celebrity was walking by. But he's so much more than that because he's for the people and he's for, the United States of America. And so everybody is just like, this is a guy who's going out there and doing it for everybody. So yeah, so he's like, I love him. He's,
Yeah.
he's one of my
It's.
best friends.
I would say. I mean, and then I know he's. I think he's painted an American flag for someone in every single state, right? I think he's done
I
all 50
believe
states.
that's correct. Yeah, I would have to
Yeah.
double check on that, but yes.
Now,
Yeah, and he's going to
is
be
it
giving back to law enforcement. He is painting for
okay?
the law enforcement gala at Mar-a-Lago on November 11th.
Nice.
He is doing something for James O'Keefe, America's Future, which helps protect the future of America and helps
Hmm.
traffic kids. So again, just giving, giving,
Yeah.
giving. That's just who he is.
And he has that talent, and he creates art that people want. That's it. That's the interesting thing. I look at some of his art. I look at um like you look at the Museum of Modern Art. You go down there, and on one aisle it's like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And then the other aisle you're like, did a 7-year-old spill paint? You know? And Scott isn't like that. Scott's like, soon as when he takes the veil off something, you're like, whoa. Now, is it okay to talk about the thing we were talking about before, or no?
I'm not sure, but we could say that he has painted something very special for the White House. And we're
Okay.
basically just waiting on word to get it there. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's very relevant and historic, and yeah,
Exactly.
so
Yeah. And
I
it's
didn't want to
beautiful. I've seen it.
I can
Um,
imagine.
yeah, it's gorgeous.
Well, I
It's actually
love
very
stuff.
hard for me to not share it with everybody right now.
Yep, I understand.
Absolutely stunning. But yes, I'm pretty sure the world will see it soon.
So last night, and now I feel better because you told me a whole bunch of young people that were on your Zoom call were sick as I was. So it's not just old men, okay, Alex? It's young people too. It's young
And young
people.
women, because I was not
Okay.
feeling great either.
Okay. So, but last night you talked to Turning Point USA, and what was that meeting about, and what are some of the next steps for Charlie Kirk's organization?
Yes. So I think everybody in this entire world is just feeling the sadness, very heavy of what happened last week. And everybody felt moved to do something about it. I've actually worked with Turning Point chapter reps for many years. They are
Hmm.
awesome. We had a wonderful one in New Jersey before she got promoted. She was just awesome. She came to all of our Moms for Liberty meetings. She would go to all the high schools. She would work with them. She had so much patience. She worked incredibly well with children. And I'm so glad for her that she got promoted, but it was definitely a loss that we felt because she was just so special. And so I started to hear in the last few months that kids wanted to start chapters. They were sort of having a hard time reaching somebody. And, we tried as well. We've been kind of swamped with everything else. And unfortunately, it was a little bit on the back burner.
Hmm.
And then obviously last week happened.
Yeah.
And we got flooded with, how do I do this? I want to start a chapter. And I said, okay, you know what? I can't let this happen to these kids, especially now. I don't want them to be discouraged. I don't want them to feel that they're not heard, or that, their submission's not important. People have to realize that there were only a few thousand chapters. As of last night, there was over 50,000 submissions. That's
To start a
insane
chapter.
to start a chapter.
Holy moly. Did they,
Mhm.
did whoever did that, they are probably thinking, I think this is going to backfire, you
It's
know?
as of last morning, I think it was 35, and as of last night, it was 50. So you could just see how fast this is growing. And so I wanted, there's an online form, and that's great. And, we did speak with Turning Point, and they said, well, you could just give them the form. But there were so many questions that people had. And they were like, well, I kind of want to know the answer to these before we get started. So I said, you know what? Let's get some reps on. So I put a simple post. I said, if anybody on my private page, if anybody is interested in becoming a high school chapter or college chapter, or really any, because they also do homeschool chapters as well,
Hmm.
please just let me know. I was on my way into an event and my phone just blew up. I'm not exaggerating. I could not text fast enough. And I was like, oh boy, what did I do? I thought I was going to get maybe 30, 50, not this volume. So I very quickly made a Facebook page, like a
Hmm.
group. And I said, I'm just going to funnel you all here
Okay.
because this way I can answer the same question one time and put the
Yes.
information out one time. And this made a little bit more sense. And also, I was going to be busy for about 4 hours and I didn't want anyone to feel ignored. So we did it really quickly and it just grew. And we found some reps. So I was able to speak to a New York college rep and then the rep that covers all of New Jersey high school. So that would be high school, public,
Oh.
private, homeschool, anything
Hmm.
in that age. And I said, guys, I need your help. We have a lot of questions. It makes more sense to answer it once, not 8,000 times. Could we do the Zoom? And they were wonderful. They're like, yep, let's do it. So we held it last night. I was watching the number just grow in the waiting room as we were waiting to start it. And you could feel the movement. You could feel the excitement. Everybody wants to do something. And I even had like younger siblings hop on that want to do this when they're of age,
Hmm.
So you could feel it. And it was just wonderful. They each were able to explain how it works, what you need to be started. Do you have to have someone 18 or a sponsor, things like that.
Right.
And I was actually really glad because I learned so much as well. People were asking me questions. I'm like, honestly, I'm not really sure yet. Let's wait until the Zoom. So it was very informative. You really need 4 people to start, but you can start with 3. They
Hmm.
say usually 4 is a little bit stronger, but if you have 3 to start it with 3. That's fine. You don't need somebody 18. You can just put the submission form right in. The schools have to allow it.
That's the
If
good part. Yeah.
Yes, they do, and we do have a wonderful lawyer who is helping us in case the schools are giving you a hard time. feel free to reach out to me. I will put you in contact with her. She's wonderful. She has been fighting for Turning Point actually for quite some time. She helps Moms for Liberty. And she actually reached out to me yesterday to let me know that, hey, if anybody's having issues, put them in contact with me. They have to let them do this. So that was really, really wonderful. And chapter started last night. And
Wow.
I did a recording. I did put it on the private Facebook page in case anybody missed it. And I think what we're going to be doing is weekly meetings. This way, if anybody has questions or they want to talk about it before they take step one, we're able to do that. We actually had callers from Tennessee, Maryland, Florida, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. You know, it was very heavy New Jersey, but we had them from all over.
Right.
So right now
Right.
we're trying to get reps for those states as well.
I saw
And yeah,
in London, I saw the march in London and the march in Madrid, and the woman in Madrid was so passionate, and maybe it's just because of her accent. It sounds passionate. You know what I mean? The
I do.
you know, it's like whatever she says. If she said, "Get to me some bread," I'd be like,
Yes,
"Oh my God, you're so passionate about the bread."
I
But
totally understand that.
to see this global
Yeah.
movement of young, smart Christians and people that are, if you look at the people that gravitated to Charlie, pro-life, pro-family, pro-America, pro-God. I mean, wow. It for someone who's because I both my sons are in their 20s. So they're really they're the next group that's gonna, you know what I mean? And
And
you're
the
yeah,
younger as well. And we can't leave them out. And that was something that was brought up by a young man that I met at the Charlie Kirk vigil that we had in Brick the other night.
hmm
I want to say it was about maybe 8 or 9 16 to 20-year-olds. They were a friend group
okay.
and they've been friends forever since they were little kids. They were extremely well spoken. They were very respectful. They've been wanting to do this for a long time. One of the kids, Gabriel, he said, I would like to visit the high schools, as their peer and say, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be faithful. It's okay to be conservative. You don't have to
Wow.
be scared. And I was like, wow, how old are you? Like he
You
was
know, it is amazing. I do a lot of youth speaking, and I am amazed because you see so much garbage online. You see people well, adults are making fools of themselves, and I keep telling people when you see people gloating or taking pleasure from someone's pain, ignore them. Don't get baited into it because that is going to come back and haunt them forever. Maybe it'll haunt them in their job. Who knows? Maybe it'll haunt them legally if they're violent enough. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. And so, as far as young people go, some of these kids, 15, 16 years old, are smart they're smarter than people in government. They're smarter than our congressman is.
And I think maybe with purer hearts.
Yes. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? So explain to the very base foundational principle for people that are not aware of Turning Point USA, if their son or daughter or their grandkids tune into this and they want to join it like you're talking about. What does that entail? Is it a monthly thing? Is it a weekly thing? Is it, are their kids aren't going to go off and become rebels, are they?
So step one would be to fill out the submission form, which is right online.
hmm
Very easy to find. Just go to Turning Point. You'll see, I believe it's on the top right. You just like pull it down and it'll say like high school, college, easy enough to find. You fill that out. A rep will get back to me. If you have more questions, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to put you in touch directly with a rep if I can't answer the question as well. After that, the rep will be in touch with you. Make sure that you have the 3 to 4 people that you need, president, vice president, treasurer, to start this. And they have everything that you need. They help you with flyers. They
hmm
have, the graphics. They have, what you're going to be talking about, the topics in the meetings. They're very big in community outreach. So, helping with a food bank or cleaning up something in the community that needs help, going to the senior homes, basically seeing what is happening in their community, what are the issues, and tackling those issues. So they're really just, they're just a wonderful group of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they are working with their rep or sponsor, right? So they are being guided. It's not just a bunch of
Right.
kids trying to figure out what they're doing. There is they are being told, hey, this month you can do this. Of course, if you would like to alter that a little bit, that's more than fine. Something's going on in your area that you rather tackle that's helpful, for sure. But they do have guides so that they can help them grow as people and grow their faith and talk to other people. So it is structured, but with some flexibility, let's
Right.
say.
And
Yeah.
these are young people that obviously have a political awareness,
Mhm.
which is and that's what made the whole Charlie thing for the past decade. It was a synergy because the left have always done a good job of, leading their kids in a direction that we may or may not agree with. But I remember being at President Trump's first inauguration, and that's when all the men were wearing the pink, the pink pussy hats.
Yes.
Remember those?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then
I can't believe they walked out like that.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they are liberals anyway. Um, and then the moms had like F Trump shirts, and then they had these cute little kids they were with, and I'm like, you're bringing a 7 or 8 year old to an inauguration of a president you hate, and then you're going to listen to Madonna talk about bombing things and what the. So this is like, so people know, this is like the complete opposite.
Right.
So
Well,
you're,
this is something the
yeah,
left doesn't seem to understand, is that there's a time and a place for everything, and there's adult situations and adult conversations, and
mm-hmm,
then there are things that are appropriate for children. And I don't bring, my children to certain rallies. Maybe things will be spoken that's not for their ears at that age,
yep,
or certain circumstances. And I mean, even with my own children, I have three kids, two that are younger, and they're part of this world. They have to they can't be in a bubble. They have to understand why things are happening, but it does need to be explained in an age appropriate way.
yes,
There are times that I have to talk about certain curriculums at meetings, and maybe I have my kids with me and I have them taken out for that part. We don't speak that way in front of children. It's inappropriate. You don't wear shirts like that in front of your child and bring them someplace. Like, hey, if that's your thing, you want to go to a club at night and do that with adults, like, have at
yep,
it. Don't take your kids to that. And I don't understand. I mean, I do understand why some of them are doing it. There's
right,
clear grooming, going on there. But
yep,
I think some of them just really are not using their head and can't
yep.
separate the two.
And I think
It's like
that's,
pride stuff.
I
Why are
know, and
kids there?
that's the key, I think, between, and in the debates I've been over the years, that's always been the key, that conservatives aren't anti gay, anti this, anti that. We're anti indoctrinating children for that.
Right.
So it's like, if you
Right.
want to, dress up this way or behave this way or marry a man, have at it. That's the beauty of America, you
Right.
know? But
I'm not going to judge you. You do
exactly.
you. You do you. Just don't shove it in my kids' throats, and don't
Yeah.
talk to my kids about it. We work very closely with Gays Against Groomers, which is a wonderful organization.
I read they have a website. They're a pretty impressive group.
They
They
are.
need, it's funny that mainstream media doesn't really put them out there that much.
They do a lot. I mean, they're actually going to be at our Moms for Liberty Summit. We've been working with them for years, and they're so great because they're people like us. They're like, listen, we're families, we have kids, we work, we own homes, we do everything the same. We are all human beings. We don't talk to our children about anything sexual in nature. It is inappropriate.
Exactly.
And they don't want to be put together with that either. And that's very important to point out. They will say, do not rope us in this LGB plus 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 plus. You know, they're actually like very upset that they get roped into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that we, you know, just sort of draw the line, guys. There's stuff for adults and there's stuff for kids, and they
Yeah.
don't cross. That's it. Black and white. Very simple. Very
And then
simple.
you get these ignorant talking points like, well, why shouldn't a second grader explore their sexuality? Because if you did it 50 years ago, you'd be in prison. If
Right.
I was,
10 years ago.
yeah,
10.
if I was at the park and inviting little kids to sit on my
Correct.
lap as I wore my wife's dress and read to them, I would go to prison. And now they're
Yes.
invited into schools as speakers.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it's not really funny, but sort of funny.
But
We
it's
have
a good one,
but it's
I
a good
bet.
one. We have a superintendent who doesn't have a very good spine, let's say. And we heard that New Jersey was going to force this sexual curriculum, you know, on the schools. This is a
Hmm.
few years ago. I want to say maybe 4 years ago, right? And the town meetings or the school meetings would often be about maybe 15 or 20 people. Well, we had hundreds show up because we
Mm.
got our hands on the curriculum and we put it all over social media. We were like, do you see the terms they want third graders to learn? Do you see the terms or the videos they want to show fifth graders? I mean, it's pornography. And so the town got really upset. And we said, even if you're not a parent, you need to come to this meeting because this affects the community's children. And I believe in see something, say something. So even if it's not your kid, if they're abusing that child by showing them something sexual in nature, you need
Hmm.
to speak up for that child. So we all showed up. It was all adults. There was one child in the back, about 12, 13 years old, had beats on. Well, we said, we want you to not do this in the district. He actually lied and said he was not allowed to say no to the state, in which then we listed the districts that were saying no to the state. He then admitted he would just lose funding. And we said, I think our kids are more important than money. And then I said, well, I would like to read you the third grade terms that you want us to teach, or you're going to be teaching our children. I want to say I got 2 or 3 in. And he said, Mrs. Bauer, we can't do this. We have a child in the back. Okay, hold on.
Well,
This was
that's
for
odd.
third grade, but
Yes.
this was for third grade. So what is third grade? Like 7-year-olds, right? Around that age. This was a
Yeah.
13-year-old, 12, 13-year-old. So, you know, the whole place just kind of was like, what just happened here? You just proved our entire point.
Yes.
And so I've been told that they're not teaching. I mean, my kids are opted out of everything, but from what I've heard, they are. I guess the teachers are just kind of skipping over that because they're being put in an awful position as well. They don't want to
No.
teach the kids this. They
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable doing it. You know, so it's interesting because people will say, well, you attack teachers. We love teachers. I love teachers, the good teachers.
It's
And
interesting
unfortunately,
you bring that up because
mhm,
I have run into so many teachers over the years, being in and out of schools for various reasons, and as a speaker. It's amazing how many conservative, great family-driven teachers there are, and they walk the line. They say, "Look, I can't believe we got to teach this garbage, but if we don't, then we can't teach this other thing." And it's all about funding, and some of it is just funding driven, as you know, but a lot of it is, like you said, it's grooming and it's moving our institutions and this indoctrination in another direction. It's making this stuff normal. And it's amazing. We have a whole generation of people that think this is normal. And unfortunately, it's really not.
right. Well, we're affirming, well, we're not, but a lot of people are affirming this mental illness that adults have. And so they want to put it on the children. They want to groom them early. They want to feel better about themselves. And unfortunately, we're seeing what's happening to the children um, because of this in the last 5, 10, 15 years, especially, right? This is sort of amped up. And I think it's been happening for quite some time. We just didn't notice it until we were invited into the classroom during COVID. And we said, what did you just say to my kid? What are you teaching them? We trusted the schools. We were brought up to trust the teachers and trust the schools. But in reality, I wouldn't hire a babysitter that I found online just because she said, well, I have a baby, I don't know, maybe an elementary degree and, I'm licensed in this and I know CPR. I would never invite you into my home and say, watch my kids. I would want to get to know you. I want references. What are you about? What are your values? What do you stand for? Yet we're brought up to just blindly trust who, here's my kid. See you in 8 hours. Hope you have a great day. And we've learned that we can't do that. And we certainly can't do that. Now, we know who our teachers are and what they believe in. And we kind of background check them a little bit, and that's if they're in normal school. How many people are homeschooling now? Because they just don't trust the school system. And I feel
that was so
for the good teachers.
So well put. And obviously, because as a parent, parents we think in a different paradigm completely. And that's why these experts, that's what a technocracy is. It's people that say, we're going to get a bunch of experts and we'll get these experts in, and some of them will be gay and straight, and a lot of them won't have kids and they won't live here. And they'll tell Alex what her son or daughter will do. And they'll tell Ken what his kids will do in the school. And we say, what? And you're right. We for some reason we've been trained, and they do this in school. They do this in colleges. Oh my gosh, you have a PhD? Most of the people I know that have a PhD can't change a tire.
Right. They have no life skills. Well, that's something that we need to change for the kids too. I mean, my husband and I, when we were I ended up going to boarding school, but in our town, it starts in 7th grade. So 7th, 8th, a little bit of 9th, I was in this high school, and we had home ec. We had, they had carpentry. Some of the kids could go to a tech school to learn mechanics.
Yes.
If you wanted to go there, if you wanted to do hair or skincare, something like that, you could go half the day there. I believe they still do that in some of the schools for the last 2, but there's nothing in the school anymore. And so these kids don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to go home and make their own dinner. I mean, I was a kid in the 80s. I walked home. I took care of my brother. We made something to eat. We took care of ourselves, and I don't do that to my children because I don't trust the world, but they know how to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Leave them home alone. But, you have to teach your kids. I just don't trust anybody, and we live in a pretty good town. But unfortunately, with the internet and everything,
I know
it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You have to be with them, But yeah, so it's, just, I think the kids
good stuff
today, I think the kids today are starting to wake up. And they're saying, we don't have to put up with this stuff anymore. I'm not going to pretend Susie is Bob. I'm not going to pretend, Frank is a cat. I'm not going to watch someone use the litter box in the corner of life got really crazy for a long time.
And then on top of it, I think one of the most disturbing things I saw last night, because I've done several reports on Charlie, and it's a challenge because everybody's covering Charlie. And, I'm kind of going down the road of trying to investigate where this horrible thing could have initiated. But all these people are commenting, and I think one of the most offensive ones I saw was a mother, and she had her 2 kids, in the skit with her. And she was she had a 10 and 11-year-old girl, and she goes, I've got great news. And this is on TikTok or on YouTube. She goes, I've got great news. And they go, what? Did Trump get shot? And I'm like, who scripts that level of hate? Because she was all excited about Charlie dying. And I'm like, what mother or father? See, I totally understand kids doing it. Look, kids can be mean, right? Kids can be mean. Anybody who's been in high school or college and been in a fight, whatever. But parents,
and their brains are not fully formed. And
they don't fully develop until they're
rash.
Yeah, they don't develop until they're 25. And as you know, you're married to a man, so his brain, mine didn't develop till I was 40. I don't know when your husband's brain developed. And then we have people like Joe Biden, whose brain never did develop. So
Yes. Well, everybody, develops at different
don't
times.
worry. I'm saying all this. If you, I know there's a transcript of this. This is me talking, not the guest. Don't worry.
So
Don't
funny.
worry.
No, I mean, it is shocking. Unfortunately, there's a lot of parents that are more worried about getting the nod or the okay from other parents, or what's in
Yeah.
at the moment, similar to the parents that are mutilating their children
Yeah.
and affirming that they are a boy instead of a girl or girl instead of a boy,
Yeah.
and actually taking that step to get them, chemical, body hormone altering drugs. These are cross-sex hormones that are
Yeah.
totally messing with their body, messing with their brain. And it's interesting. I've seen interviews where they said, well, you can always change it. No, you don't know what this effect is going to have on your
You can't
long-term
change it.
health. Right? We don't know. It hasn't been around that
Yeah.
long to know in 50 years what it's going to do, in 10 years what it's going to do. So you don't know that. So don't say that to kids, because that's a flat out lie. And then a lot of them are getting surgeries. I saw a comment not that long ago that said, that's not happening. What is it, 1%? Well, first of all, 1% is too much. That is one
Yes.
child that was harmed, too much. But
And it's a lot more
unfortunately,
than one
it's
child.
a lot more than that. It's a
They
lot
always
more
use
than
those.
that.
They use those little games. It's like they do the same thing in war. They go, "Well, it's only 0.20." Yeah, but you still had 78 bodies there. I mean,
Right. Right. And that's how they get, will try to, justify this. And it cannot be justified. That is child abuse. We don't take our children for tattoos. We don't take them for body piercings.
now you
I mean,
did
I
you
know this.
know you have some tats on you, right?
I do. I do.
Okay,
And I
I
was an
saw that.
adult. I was an
No, I
adult
know.
when
I
I
know
got them.
someone's going to comment on that. I know you were an adult. I Someone's going
I'm
to
an
comment on
adult
that
when I
though.
got them. And, listen, you need to wait. You need to wait.
Yo,
And
I think you need to wait for everything should be waited on, and this is where I believe that the progressive and the leftist and some of these people that I think some of this stuff is just evil. I think it's evil. I don't even think it's a matter of, well, this is my choice. No, I think something's in there. I don't know what it is, but I think that if any of this is being the way it's being pushed so aggressively to the youth, it seems almost desperate to me. It's kind of like if you're so secure with your decision of transitioning into a man or woman, you as an adult, or marrying a man, why can't you just wait till someone's 18 or 20 and go talk to him in college and discuss it and debate it? And they're not. They just go younger and younger and younger. In Maryland, it was kindergarten kids that were reading about My Two Dads and My Brother Likes a Boy. Kindergarten.
right, it's completely unnecessary. We're not shielding them 100% from the world. There are children that have two dads or two moms. The
Yes.
point is that they're in school to learn academics. And
Yes.
the national report card just came out. Only a third of high school seniors are prepared for college. 22% are proficient in math. 35% are proficient in English. That is completely unacceptable. And by the way, I'm not a big testing person. I don't think that works for everybody. Not
Hmm.
everyone's going to get straight A's, and are we're not really built that way anyway. You don't have to be awesome in every single subject, right?
Agreed.
Some people are more art, this way, or science or math. Like that's great. And I think we need to stop putting the pressure on kids to be perfect in every single thing. However, those scores are unacceptable. We're
Yes.
sending kids to college that aren't going to do well in college because they're unprepared. Then they're putting themselves in major debt, way worse than
Yep.
college when we were kids. And then they can't find jobs to pay that debt off. So we're setting them up for failure. And the reason they're starting so young is because they want to split up the family. They want to create this rift. That's also why kids are sent to school. I mean, this model of education needs to go. It does not take 8 hours a day to teach a child.
Agreed.
Kindergarten is like a half hour to an hour, right? Elementary
Agreed.
school, it's like 2 hours. High school, it's 2 to 4 hours. Let them be home with their family. Let them learn a life skill. If they're older, let them get a job. I mean, there's just so much more that they could be doing than just being indoctrinated in schools. And they start at this young age so that when mom and dad are like, no, this is not happening, they'll actually say in schools, oh, they're not listening to you. We'll be your family. We'll listen to you,
Yeah.
come here. And that's how they create this rift. And then they'll actually put it on the parents and say, well, if you don't affirm this from your child, they might be suicidal. Which is better, a dead child or one that's a different gender? Can you imagine gaslighting a parent like
Oh, it's
that?
happened. It's
This is
happened
what's happening
repeatedly.
every day.
It's
Yep.
ended up in court as well. But what you
Yeah.
said was so insightful about you don't need that much time. But what happens is the people that buy votes keep stacking up the goodies in school, breakfast, lunch, babysitting, this, that, the other thing, school nurse, whatever. And then the grifters take advantage of it. But everything we do should be designed to help kids create more value for themselves and for others. Because when you create that value for yourselves and others, you love yourself more, you have more value. And if
Sure.
you get to your freshman year in college and you can't read or you can't write longhand or write three paragraphs without looking at your phone, we're in trouble because the Chinese take this completely differently than us. I mean, they're like 4 years old and they're ready to rock.
Right.
A couple years ago, I teach public speaking, and a couple years ago, I had a class of Chinese honor students outside of Beijing, and I would teach them from the studio. And they
Oh,
were all,
wow.
yeah, yeah. And there were like 9 and 10, all the way up to 15. And by the time we got done, there were 9-year-old Chinese students speaking better English than downtown Newark. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, we've lowered the standards so much. I mean, so I have another example. So when I meet kids and they have great eye contact and a firm handshake, I mean, that is so important, right?
Isn't that
But you know,
exciting?
but you know what's so crazy is that people are almost too impressed by it. I'm like, that should be expected. That
Good
child
point.
should look you in the eye. They should have a firm handshake. They should be able to speak with you. I'm not talking about a 2-year-old, but of a certain age,
Hmm.
that should be expected. And I'm like, when did we lower our standards so much that this is an awesome thing? I expect that from you. A certain age, of course, but I expect that from you. And unfortunately, we've just lowered the standards so much. So we have the kids the longest days, 5 days a week, the longest school days, and yet they're the least educated. We could learn so much. Finland, oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
like there's they have these other models out there, and they really
Yes.
focus on giving back to the community. That's a huge focus of theirs.
Right.
Learning life skills, helping the family, and giving back to the community, whereas our kids are stuck 8 hours a day, taught what to think, not how to think. And then they're put in so many activities,
Too
right?
many.
Too many.
Way too many.
And then there's no family time. Way too many. Way too many. I have to say, I mean, I did that with my kids before COVID as well. I looked at it as they went to I stayed home with them for a while, and they went to a beautiful preschool, just a few hours. It was our friend's school, like-minded, really phenomenal school. So we said, okay, go for a little bit and get there. But then I would take them to soccer and gymnastics. And because
Yeah.
in my mind, I said, well, let's see what they like. But they were
Hmm.
really exhausted. And so when COVID happened, my little ones, my oldest one was in college, but my little ones were last year of preschool and first year of kindergarten. And we loved life. My husband was like, these kids are doing so much better at home with you.
Yep. Yep.
They slept in, they got better sleep. We went for hikes. We did painting at home. We learned our own lessons, and we saw them just come into themselves and thrive and be happy. And that's when we realized, okay, when life goes back to normal, whatever that means, we
Yeah.
can't go back to the way that we were. we have to change that. We have to be together as a family way more, stop
Right.
sending them everywhere.
I have to say, you have shared so much great parent and mom advice on this show. I had no idea there would be this much. This whole thing could be a mom advice show, just because I think a lot of parents are dealing with this now post COVID and in the middle of this
Right.
political turmoil. So before we wrap up, what's next on your agenda? Are you going to be focusing more on Charlie's organization? Are you going to be playing a big role in Moms for Liberty? What?
I think everything. There's just too much to be done to only focus
Mhm.
on one thing. Um, Definitely right now, there's a lot of kids that need help with turning point. So that's a lot of the focus is there. A lot of focus getting the word out. I'm very lucky that Newsmax and Fox has me on. If there's anything that needs to get out there, I show them. They're like, "Yep, hop on," and we get to talk about it. Because a
Awesome.
lot of people, they are so wonderful with us. It's so great,
Yep.
but a lot of people don't know what's going on. So this way, it's on a national level, and they're able to be like, "Wait, what are they doing? What is this new policy happening?" And so that's
Very good.
that's really great. Right now, they're attacking the homeschoolers in New Jersey. They want to force them to abide by the New Jersey state curriculum. Most homeschoolers homeschool because they don't agree with the curriculum. And they're also going to be forcing them to do state mandated, we don't even know who's going to be doing this, wellness visits. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
could you imagine? So
Wow.
that's huge. Yep. So we're fighting that right now. I happen to know, I think in the next day or two, we're dropping something. They're trying to be sneaky again about religious exemptions. There's a lot, they are attacking us. They are attacking the parents and they are coming after us. So we have to stay on top of that. So we have all that going on. We have Moms for Liberty Summit in Orlando. We are going to have the first ever sort of Maha Day there. So that's great because a lot of us are Maha moms. We don't use chemicals. We eat super clean. Some of us choose not to vaccinate. That's your choice, but it
Hmm.
needs to be a choice and it needs to
Yes.
be a transparent choice. So you need to know what's in those things. So we have that going on. We're just helping. We're trying to help everybody. Honestly, we have the law enforcement gala down in Mar-a-Lago. If anyone's down there, please join us. We have a killer lineup, and that just helps get the stories out of the law enforcement because
Hmm.
for a long time they had pressure on them to not be able to even do their jobs
Yeah, and
correctly. You know what I mean?
that started under Obama. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think it ever really came back into line until Trump's first term, because Obama put such a he put such a bad rap on them.
Right.
And we should take care of police that are not trained well or not doing their job or breaking the law.
Sure, for
But the
sure.
majority, what he was able to do, what Obama was able to do in 8 years of Obamanism, was basically just take major institutions and flip them upside down, from the military to the police to academia.
Mhm.
That's when all that weird crap got in the schools, and
Correct.
Timmy's marching with a rainbow flag at homecoming. You know.
Right. Right. No, they snuck it into everything. And our law enforcement, our just anybody, our military, they all put their lives on the line for us and we
Hmm.
need to take care of them. So that's like a really wonderful, when they asked me to help out with some of the stuff, I was like, yes, we are in. Definitely. We love that. A lot of my friends are police officers. We come from a family of police. So, we definitely wanted to help out with that. And gosh, we have just so much going on. So, America's Future is another great organization. If you're not familiar with them, look them up. General Flynn is a part of that, and he,
Hmm.
really shows what's going on in the world and what we need to do to save this country for our children who are the future. So they're wonderful as well. So we work with. Oh, another thing, I actually meant to say this before. We're also working with No Trafficking Zone. If you're not familiar with Jacqueline Aludo, she is wonderful. She
Hmm.
started, I believe, about 10 years ago. She just made Texas a no trafficking zone. So it started with the schools because 65% of children are trafficked on school grounds, which is a very large number. And these people are just not worried, whether it's through an app, whether it's through another kid that's already been trafficked. So it's
Right.
happening on school. So she said, well, we're going to make it a no trafficking zone. You're not going to be sent to jail for 10 years. You're going to be sent to jail for life without the possibility of parole. And that scares them a little bit more.
Good.
So then,
Good.
yep, so that was awesome. But then she realized, well, the entire state should be a no trafficking zone. You should be able to do this anywhere. So that just passed. Well, we are setting our sights on New Jersey. We want to do that as well. We want the schools, we want the entire state a no trafficking zone. So we are working on some legislation to make that happen. And she thankfully has been, she's traveled here. She's doing Zooms with us to sort of help get us going. We
Excellent.
have a meeting with Alina Haba next week to
Hmm.
loop her into this whole thing. So there's a lot of stuff going on. If anybody needs to reach out, please go to momsforliberty.org. You can find your state, you can find your county. If you want to talk to me, just go to Bergen County, New Jersey. My email's on there. I will answer. I will help you out. I'm more than happy to help out other counties, other states. No problem. I understand that sometimes, a story resonates with someone and they'd like to talk to them about it. So please reach out. And if you'd like to join us at Summit, please join us because it's literally our favorite event every year. And even my husband's like, it's the best one. Like, I dragged Scott to it last year and he had the best time.
Awesome.
He actually unveiled a really cool painting there. Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool.
So if anybody wants to join us, they're welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Alexandra Bauer. You so much good information. And if you ever need this platform and my 13 listeners, reviewers,
it only takes one. Okay. So that's fine.
let me know. But I would love for you to come back on maybe in a month or so just to give me an update because you've got an inside track. And I think people get energized hearing someone like you that's having so much success in this space. So thank you very much and have a super day.
Oh, I appreciate that. We'll definitely talk in a month because we're going to have a lot to talk about.